It was a cold, rainy night in the city. The streets were almost empty, and only the sound of raindrops filled the air. People hurried to their homes, covering their heads with bags and papers. But one girl stood alone near a small bus stop, her clothes soaked, her eyes red. Her name was Maya. Maya had just lost her job that morning. Her boss had told her they didn't need her anymore. She had no family in the city, no friends to call. Her rent was due, and her landlord had already warned her to leave if she couldn't pay in 3 days. She felt the world had turned its back on her. As she waited for the last bus, she noticed a man standing a few steps away. He wore a black coat and a cap that hid most of his face. His shoes were shiny, unlike anything she could afford. He stood silently, watching the road. For a second, she felt nervous he looked too quiet, too calm for a night like this. The wind grew stronger, and Maya hugged herself to stay warm. Suddenly, she saw a group of men walking toward her from the other side of the road. They were laughing loudly, throwing empty bottles on the ground. Her heart started beating fast. She looked around, but there was no one else, only the man in the black coat. The group came closer. One of them shouted, "Hey, pretty girl, what are you doing here alone?" Maya froze. Her hands started shaking. She stepped back, but hit the wall behind her. The men laughed louder. Before they could come closer, she ran toward the man in the black coat. Without thinking, she whispered, "Pretend to hug me, please." Her voice was full of fear and tears. The man looked surprised for a second, but then he stepped forward. He gently wrapped his arms around her as if they were lovers meeting after a long time. She buried her face in his chest, shaking. The man's coat smelled like expensive perfume, clean and comforting. The group of men stopped, looked at the scene, and laughed again. "Let's go," one of them said. "She's not alone." Slowly they disappeared into the dark street. Maya didn't move. Her heart was still racing. The stranger didn't say a word. He just stood there, holding her quietly until the men were gone. After a moment, Maya pulled away. "I'm sorry," she said softly. "I just didn't know what else to do." "Thank you." The man smiled slightly. His eyes were calm, deep, and kind. "It's okay," he said in a low voice. "You don't have to explain." She noticed now how neat his clothes were, how his watch looked expensive. He didn't seem like an ordinary man waiting for a bus in the rain. "Do you have a place to go?" he asked. Maya hesitated. "Not really. My bus might not come. I'll just walk. It's not safe," he said. "Let me call a cab for you." She wanted to refuse, but his tone was gentle, not forceful. He pulled out his phone, an expensive one, and called a car. Hey. While waiting, he handed her his umbrella. She didn't know what to say. "Thank you," again she said, her voice shaking. When the cab arrived, he opened the door for her. She looked at him one last time before getting in. "You don't even know me. Why did you help me?" He looked at her with a small smile. "Sometimes strangers need to be kind. The world is already too cold." As the cab drove away, Maya kept looking through the window. The man stood in the rain, without his umbrella, watching until the car turned the corner. That night, she couldn't stop thinking about him. Who was he? Why was he standing there alone in the rain? Something about his eyes felt familiar. But she couldn't remember where she had seen him before. She didn't know that the stranger she met tonight wasn't just a kind man. He was Arav, Mehta, one of the most powerful billionaires in the city, and her life was about to change forever. Asterisk, the next morning, Maya woke up with the sound of her old phone ringing. It was her landlord again, shouting about rent. Okay, she promised to pay soon, but her voice was weak. After ending the call, she sat on her small bed inside. Her whole life seemed to be falling apart. Then she remembered the stranger, the man in the black coat. For some reason, his calm eyes and kind voice wouldn't leave her mind. She could still feel the warmth of that short hug, the one that saved her from danger, as she checked her wet jacket from last night. She found something she hadn't noticed before, a small business card tucked in her pocket. It was black, with gold letters printed neatly. Arav Mehta, AM Industries. At the bottom, there was only a phone number. Her hands trembled. The name sounded familiar. She searched online using her phone, and within seconds, hundreds of articles appeared. Arav Mehta, the youngest billionaire in the country, one headline said. Owner of AM Industries, known for his secretive life, Maya's mouth fell open. That man, hey, that quiet stranger in the rain, was a billionaire? She sat there in shock, reading more. He rarely appeared in public, lived a private life, and was known for his mysterious kindness, helping hospitals, schools, and charities without showing his face. For a moment, she laughed softly. There's no way, she whispered. Why? Would someone like him talk to someone like me? Still, she couldn't stop thinking about him. Maybe he had dropped the card by mistake, or maybe he left it on purpose. She kept staring at the card. Should I call? She whispered to herself, but then she shook her head. No, he must have hundreds of people around him. He won't even remember me. She placed the card inside her old purse and got ready to look for a new job. Her stomach growled. She hadn't eaten properly in 2 days. She left her apartment and walked toward the city center, holding her umbrella tightly, even though the sky was clear. By afternoon, Maya had been rejected from 3 places already. Her last hope was a small cafe near the main market. She entered quietly, smiled at the manager, and asked if they needed help. The man looked at her and sighed. We're already full, miss. Sorry, her shoulders dropped. She walked out slowly, her feet heavy. But just as she stepped onto the sidewalk, she saw a shiny black car stop in front of her. The window rolled down. Her heart almost stopped. It was him, the man from last night. Arav Mehta? He smiled lightly. Maya, right? She blinked in surprise. Why, you remember me? Of course, he said calmly. You dropped something. He held out her old umbrella. Her eyes widened. Oh, thank you. I didn't even notice. You were in a hurry, he replied with a soft laugh. Then he added, You said you were looking for work. Maya froze. How? How did you know? You mentioned it when you got into the cab. I have a good memory, he said. Come with me. I might have something for you. Her first thought was to say no, but his voice was gentle, not commanding. She felt a strange trust, like last night all over again. Inside the car, everything looked expensive. The leather seats, the screens, even the scent of fresh flowers. Maya sat carefully, afraid to touch anything. Arav didn't speak much. He just watched the city passing by. Finally, the car stopped in front of a tall glass building. The golden letters outside read, AM Industries Headquarters. Maya's eyes widened again. Why? Why are we here? Arav turned to her and said, Because I want to offer you a chance, something that might change your life. She looked at him, completely confused. Change my life? I don't understand. He smiled slightly. You will. But first I want to know something. What is that? She asked softly. He looked straight into her eyes and said, Do you believe that one kind act can change everything? Maya didn't know what to answer. She only knew that her heart was beating faster than ever. And in that moment, without realizing it, her life had already started to change. Maya followed Arav into the grand glass building, her heart beating faster with every step. The floor was shining like a mirror, and people in suits were walking quickly, greeting him with respect. Some even bowed slightly. She realized now just how powerful he was. Arav's assistant, a tall woman in a blue dress, smiled politely at Maya, but looked confused. Who is this girl with the boss? She must have thought. Arav said softly, Bring 2 coffees to my office. The woman nodded and hurried away. Inside, the office looked like something from another world, big windows, leather chairs, and shelves full of books. A large painting of a mountain hung behind the desk. Maya stood near the door, unsure if she should sit or not. Arav turned and said, Please, have a seat. She sat slowly, still feeling out of place. Mr. Mehta, I don't understand why I'm here. I'm not qualified for anything like this. He smiled. You don't even know what I'm offering yet. She lowered her eyes. Still, I feel nervous. I've never been inside a place like this. Relax, he said kindly. I brought you here because I saw something in you last night. Most people would have run away or screamed for help. But you handled fear with calm and courage. That's rare. Maya looked up surprised. I wasn't brave. I was just scared. That's the point, Arav said. Courage isn't about not being scared. It's about doing the right thing while being scared. His words made her think. For a moment, she forgot she was talking to a billionaire. His voice didn't sound rich or proud. It sounded real. The assistant came in with coffee. Maya took hers carefully, afraid she might spill it. Arav continued. I'm looking for someone honest, simple, and not afraid to face the world. I'm opening a new projective foundation that helps young women find jobs and housing. I need someone to manage small tasks, talk to people, and help me understand their problems. Her eyes widened. You mean a job? For me? Yes, he said. If you want it. Maya couldn't believe it. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. A billionaire offering her a real job, it felt unreal. Why me? She whispered. Because sometimes the right person isn't the most experienced, Arav said. It's the one who understands pain. Those words hit her heart. For the first time in months, she felt seen not as a failure, but as a person. Still, a doubt grew inside her. What if I disappoint you? Arav smiled again. Then you'll learn. Everyone fails before they rise. You just need a chance to start. She nodded slowly, tears forming in her eyes. Thank you, Mr. Mehta. I'll work hard. I promise. Good, he said gently. You start tomorrow. When she left the building that day, her heart felt lighter than ever. She looked up at the sky. It was clear and bright. After so many dark days, she finally saw a bit of hope. She wanted to tell someone, but she had no one. Still, she smiled and whispered to herself, maybe life isn't done with me yet. The next morning, she arrived early, wearing her only clean dress. The receptionist guided her to a small office where she'd be working. She spent the day organizing papers, making calls, and learning fast. Every time she passed Arav's office, she tried not to look in. But sometimes, she caught him watching her quietly, as if studying her. During lunch, she met some other employees. They were kind but curious. One whispered, "Do you know why the boss hired you personally?" Maya smiled nervously. "No, I just got lucky." But that night, while cleaning her small room, she kept thinking about Arav's eyes. There was something deep behind them, something he wasn't saying. Maybe this wasn't just about charity. Maybe there was a reason he chose her. She didn't know that. Arav had a secret connected to his past, one that would soon make everything clear. And dangerous. Asterisk days passed quickly at AM Industries. Maya worked with full dedication, learning everything she could. Her desk was small and simple, but every time she looked around, she felt proud. She wasn't just surviving anymore. She was building something new. Arav often passed by her department quietly. Sometimes he would stop to ask how things were going, or leave a few files on her desk with a small note. Good work. Keep it up. His calm voice and rare smiles gave her confidence. She had never known before, but something about him still puzzled her. He never talked about himself. No stories, no family, no friends. Whenever people mentioned his past, he changed the topic. Everyone respected his silence, but Maya's curiosity grew stronger each day. One evening, after most of the employees had gone, Maya was still at her desk finishing some reports. The lights in the hallway were dim, and only a few people remained on the top floor. Suddenly, she heard voices coming from Arav's office. She didn't mean to listen, but the door was slightly open. A man's voice said, "Sir, the old case is reopening." "They're asking about the accident again," Arav replied in a low tone. "I told them there's nothing to find." It was years ago. Maya froze. Accident? The other man continued, but someone submitted a new statement. They claimed the girl survived. For a moment, silence filled the air. Maya's heartbeat quickened. She heard Arav's voice again, soft, but filled with emotion. "If she's alive, I need to find her before they do." Maya's pen fell from her hand. The sound echoed in the quiet office. Arav looked up sharply and saw her standing near the door. "Maya?" he said, walking toward her. She stepped back, her face pale. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I was just finishing my work." He stopped her gently. It's okay. Come inside. She hesitated, but followed him. The other man quickly left, closing the door behind him. Arav sighed and sat down. You heard something you weren't supposed to. Maya lowered her eyes. I didn't mean to. I just heard the word accident. He looked out of the window, silent for a long time. Then he said, some secrets from the past don't stay buried forever. Maya didn't know what to say. His face looked different now. Not calm and confident, but tired and sad. Finally, said years ago, there was a car accident. I was driving. It was raining heavily, and another car came from the opposite side. We crashed. The driver of the other car died instantly. And there was a little girl inside. Maya listened carefully, her heart aching. That's terrible, she whispered. They said she didn't survive, Arav continued, his voice cracking. I tried everything, search teams, hospitals, police, but she was gone. I never forgave myself. He paused and looked at her. I lost more than control that night. I lost my peace. Maya's eyes softened. It wasn't your fault. It was an accident. He nodded slowly. Maybe, but when you lose a life, even by accident, it changes you forever. For a moment, silence filled the room again. Then Maya asked softly, Is that why you help people now? Because of what happened? Arav gave a sad smile. Maybe I'm trying to fix what can't be fixed. Maya felt something deep inside her. The man everyone saw as powerful was just a broken soul hiding behind success. She wanted to say something comforting but didn't know how before leaving. He said quietly, Let's keep this between us. She nodded. Of course, that night Maya couldn't sleep. His story kept replaying in her mind the rain, the accident, the little girl. But something strange bothered her. She had a scar on her arm from an accident long ago. Her foster parents once told her she was found near a crashed car when she was 8. She never knew what happened that night. Her heart pounded. Could it be the same accident? She opened her old box of memories and found the small silver bracelet she had been wearing when she was rescued. The back had letters carved in it. Her hands trembled. A.M. Arav Mehta. The truth was starting to reveal itself, and it was more shocking than she could imagine. Maya stared at the small silver bracelet resting in her palm. Her fingers shook as she traced the engraved letters. A.M. the same initials as Arav Mehta. Her heart pounded so loud she could hear it. Echo in the quiet room. Could it really be connected to him? Was the little girl from his story her? She sat on her bed, trying to breathe. Memories flashed in her mind. Flashing lights, the sound of rain, people shouting, a car turned upside down. She had always believed those images were part of a bad dream, but now they felt real. Her foster mother once said she was found unconscious near a crashed car, but no one ever came to claim her. She had been too young to remember names. All she had was this bracelet. And now, that bracelet had led her back to him. The next morning, she went to work with trembling hands. She wanted to talk to Arav, but her mind was full of fear. What if he finds out? What if he doesn't believe me? What if he feels guilty all over again? She decided to wait. But fate didn't wait for her. That afternoon, while delivering some reports to his office, she found Arav standing near the window, lost in thought. His expression was heavy, distant. Sir? She said softly. He turned slowly, his eyes tired but warm. Maya, you can come in. She placed the papers on his desk. For a moment, silence filled the room. Then, before she could stop herself, she said, Do you ever think about that girl from the accident? Arav's face froze. He took a deep breath. Every day. Maya held her purse tightly. And if she was alive, what would you say to her? He looked down at the floor. I'd say I'm sorry. I'd say, I wish I could change the past. I'd tell her that I've carried her memory like a shadow all these years. Her throat tightened. She slowly reached into her purse and pulled out the bracelet. Would you recognize this? Arav's eyes widened the moment he saw it. His body stiffened. He stepped closer, his voice trembling. Where did you get that? Maya swallowed hard. It was with me when I was found after an accident. I never knew where it came from. Until now. He took the bracelet gently, his hand shaking. The initials gleamed under the office lights. This was my sister's bracelet, he whispered. She gave it to the little girl before that night. Before everything ended. Maya's eyes filled with tears. Your sister? She's gone? Yes, Arav said, his voice breaking. She died in that crash. And I thought the little girl did too. He looked at her, his eyes filled with disbelief and emotion. Maya, are you saying you were in that car? Tears streamed down her cheeks. I think I was. Arav sank into his chair, covering his face with his hands. All these years, I've been searching for peace, and you've been right in front of me. She stepped closer. You saved me once, and you didn't even know it. He looked up, eyes glistening. No, Maya, you're the one who saved me. Ever since you walked into my life, it's like I've been given another chance to make things right. They sat in silence. Two souls tied by a tragedy they never understood, now finally connected by truth. Later that evening, Arav drove her to the place where the accident happened years ago. The road was quiet, lined with trees and old streetlights. Rain started to fall, softly at first, then heavier, almost like the night they met. Maya stood under the rain, holding the bracelet tightly. I used to wonder why I survived, she said. Now I know. Maybe it was to find you. Arav looked at her, his voice barely above a whisper. And maybe I was meant to find you, to ask for forgiveness, and to start again. For the first time he smiled not as a billionaire, but as a man finally at peace. Maya smiled back through her tears. The rain kept falling, washing away the years of pain and silence. But little did they know. Someone else was watching from a distance, someone who didn't want the truth to stay buried. The real storm was only beginning. Asterisk, the rain continued to fall as Maya and Arav stood on that lonely road. The air was cold, filled with the smell of wet earth and memories. The headlights of Arav's car glowed faintly behind them, lighting the place where their lives had changed forever. Maya looked around, her eyes searching the ground as if she could still see the past. It feels strange, she whispered. I was here once as a child, and now I'm back. With you? Arav nodded slowly. Sometimes life brings us in circles back to where everything started. Just to finish what was left undone, he knelt down and placed a small white flower near a broken tree trunk, the spot where his sister had been found. She loved lilies, he said quietly. I come here every year on this date. Maya's heart softened. I wish I could remember her. He looked up, his voice low. She saved you. In the last moments, she pushed you out of the car before it caught fire. You were her last act of love. Tears filled Maya's eyes. Then, she gave her life for mine. Arav nodded. And that's why I could never forgive myself. I was driving. I was careless. I thought I lost both of you. She touched his arm gently. You didn't lose us, Arav. You just needed time to find us again. For a moment, silence covered them like a blanket. Only the rain spoke. Then, from the darkness, a sudden sound. The crunch of footsteps. Arav turned sharply. A man stepped out of the shadows, holding a camera and an umbrella. His face was half hidden, but his smile was cruel. Touching moment, he said, But I think the world deserves to hear this story. The billionaire who caused a death and hid it for years. Arav's face hardened. Rohan, he said quietly. Maya looked at him, confused. You know him? Rohan laughed. Of course he does. I used to work for him, until he fired me for leaking information. I told you I'd make you pay, Arav. He pointed the camera at them. This recording will destroy your perfect image. The hero billionaire? Actually a killer? Maya stepped forward, shaking. Stop it. It was an accident. Rohan smirked. Accident or not, the world won't care. They love to see rich men fall. Arav stood still, calm but cold. You can post it, he said. But before you do, remember, there's a truth behind every headline. Maya's eyes filled with fear. Please don't let him do this. But Arav didn't move. If my past can help someone understand pain, let it. I've lived with guilt long enough. Rohan's smile faded. You're not scared? No, Arav said firmly. Because I'm done hiding. For a second, Rohan hesitated. He looked at Maya, then at Arav. The rain soaked his camera. Finally, with a curse, he lowered it. You're a fool, Arav, he muttered, and walked away into the darkness. Maya exhaled shakily. He could have ruined you. Arav smiled faintly. No one can ruin what's already been forgiven. Later that week, Arav called a press meeting. Cameras flashed as he stood at the podium, calm and honest. He told the entire story, the accident, the loss, and how life had brought him face to face with Maya again. The world was silent. Then, people began to clap. Not because he was rich, because he was brave enough to speak the truth. Maya watched from the side, her eyes full of pride. For the first time, she saw not the billionaire, but the man who had carried both guilt and goodness in equal measure. When the conference ended, he walked to her. You changed everything, Maya, said softly. She smiled through her tears. No, Arav? You changed me. You taught me that even broken stories can have beautiful endings. He took her hand gently. Let's make a new one then together. Months later, the foundation they built together grew across cities, helping women like Maya find hope again. Arav still visited his sister's tree every year, always placing a white lily there. And every time, Maya stood beside him, holding his hand. The world now knew their story, not as a tale of guilt, but as a story of healing, courage, and love. And it had all begun with one rainy night. When a frightened girl whispered, "Pretend to hug me, please," little did she know that hug would change both of their lives forever.